Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a blunt ranking the MCU, where this week we're going to be talking about Thor, because that's where we're up to. Previous weeks we've done everything ranging from Iron Man to Iron Man 2, and also the Incredible Hulk, because that's everything. I listed it just there for you. Joining me this week, as he does every week, is one Joseph.
Hi, I'm Thor.
Speaking of Thor, we've got a Benjamin.
Hi, I'm Jane.
Speaking of Jane, we've got Dion.
I don't think there is a half-cast character in Thor, so hi, I'm Dion.
You could be Idris Elba.
You could be Heimdall. Yeah.
Definitely not mixed race. Just going to throw that one out there.
Well, I knew that, but you know, he's
the closest.
Like,
well, he's about as close as all the white people are.
that's true. I realised as I said it, but at the same time.
Yeah, but I'd consider brown skin closer to dark brown than white.
So, we've already begun racist, so that's not...
We began racist and it got more racist. But
You started well.
what a wonderful way to start this delightful show, which I've forgotten already the flow of how I intro this thing. So, yeah.
Explain what we do here.
Every week we gather to talk about an MCU film. Oh, well, I assume after the MCU we'll be doing another franchise if, we still have the luster for life we have now, which is to say more than zero. So yeah, each week we get together, talk about the Marvel movie of the day, today being Thor, and then we rank it against the other ones we've previously done. If I remembered the order, I'd tell you what the list was right now. If I remember correctly, in number 1, we currently have Iron Man. In number 2, we have Iron Man 2. And in number 3, we have The Incredible Hulk. So
That is correct.
Where exactly Thor will fit into that one, we shall see. Shall we all... Actually, well, okay, Thor, released on May the 6th, 2011, for a budget of $150 million, and it grossed $449, which is a stark increase. Actually, no, it's a little bit of a decrease, but at least it's a lot more than the Incredible Hulk, which gives me joy in my heart.
It's less than Iron Man, but a lot more than the Incredible Hulk for the same budget, which is, nice.
And it also shows that these films were not, they're not super owners yet, and they won't be super owners for a little while.
No, yeah. I wonder when they became super owners and why.
I imagine it's the Avengers.
Yeah, the Avengers.
Yeah.
That film was the biggest thing that had ever happened.
Ever.
Well, it felt like that to me anyway. At the
The little
time.
man.
We'll find out in 2 weeks when we see the stats on the sheet.
That's true. Where the official number takers down here, don't
Because next week is Captain America?
Yes, next week is Captain America.
The first Avenger.
But yeah, May 6, 2011, we just finished our GCSEs.
The first
we're in the
Avenger
middle of them.
before Captain Marvel was a thing.
Very true.
I don't know, looking at these dates just makes me feel kind of old, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I completely agree. 12 years ago for Iron Man 1 and 9 years ago for Thor is just...
I mean, we were still children. Technically.
We are still children.
I mean, I feel like a spring chicken every day.
You don't sound like one.
No, I sound tainted and rude.
Tainted by work.
That's how it goes. Yeah, I don't feel so old when I look at these ones, because these ones in my mind are really old. But there's probably a few that I'd say that I would think only a couple of years ago, and then you'll turn around and say, oh, that was actually 5 years ago, and then I'll feel old.
It's when once we get beyond Age of Ultron and we get into the Civil Wars and stuff like that, I'll be like, oh, this was not that long ago, and he'll be like, no, Christopher, it was 6 years ago. I'm like, no.
Those I remember, this. The first time I saw it was today. So,
But then after that, we'll get to the point in the MCU where they started releasing 3 films a year, and we'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that definitely actually wasn't long ago, because it wouldn't have been. Okay.
That was long before I clocked out.
Long after, you mean?
Yeah. I clocked out a while before that. There we go.
You did. You clocked out basically
Pretty
straight
much
away.
at the Avengers, yeah.
You
I don't
clocked
even
out
know
2012.
why, to be honest, because I clearly haven't seen or remember that much about the movies before the Avengers. I just remember coming out of the Avengers and going, it's getting a bit silly now. Because I think we watched the Avengers and you were like, oh, there's another one coming out, another superhero movie coming out in a few months, and that was nuts at the time, and I was just like, shit.
Come on, guys, it's gone too far now.
Little did Joe know he hadn't seen anything yet.
Yeah, little did I know I was in for another 10 years.
Yeah, the Avengers is the beginning of all of it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't keep up with it at all. like at all. I think when it came time for Endgame, is Endgame the last one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, that's
technically, Spider-Man: Far From Home was the last one, but
Yeah, but that was. It was.
that's more like
in the
an
Avengers
addendum.
movies.
That's more like an extra. But
Yeah.
yes,
Out of the Avengers movies, that's the last one. So I was kind of at that point. I put down my gloves of pride. And I thought, you know what?
And the first one.
Yeah. Well, I need to get in on this. So I watched most of the big ones, and then all the Avengers. Because I did try and sit down and watch Endgame, but I was kind of like, why is Hulk there? Well, what? Who are you? What? Nothing made sense. I'm
Oh
like,
my
fuck
god,
it.
you must have had absolutely no idea at all.
Yeah, that'll be very weird.
Yeah, I was very very perplexed about everything that I saw.
This time around, it'll hopefully make a lot more sense when we finally get there.
Oh, it makes sense now because I did go back and watch all the big ones, and then I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay. But even now, when I was watching this, I was like, so that's kind of Agent Coulson's been in for this long, and this is who this. But things are already making a bit more sense. But yeah, I digress.
well, we can use this conversation to segue into our past on the film. So, when did we all first watch it? What were our initial thoughts on Thor back in the day?
Well, my answer is going to be the same for every single film now. I saw it in the cinema. Like I did all of them. Oh no, actually, I didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp in cinemas. That's the only Marvel film I haven't seen in cinemas, I think.
Is that the first Ant-Man or the second?
That's
The
the second
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Second Ant.
No,
I wasn't like massively familiar with Thor, but I was still really excited because I thought he sounded really cool. Lightning guy, hammer,
Lightning boy.
red cape.
Knowing you now, I find it very hard to believe that you didn't you didn't know much about. I can't imagine a version of you, Ben, where you don't know much about Thor.
I mean, I did. I knew who he was and everything, but I wasn't like, I didn't really know much. I didn't know like his villains. I didn't know like
Yeah.
Asgard or I knew Loki, but not really. They were just kind of like these background people that would occasionally show up in like whatever Spider-Man thing I was reading at the time.
I mean, Thor, much like Iron Man, was really not an A-lister Marvel character before the MCU as it is.
No.
If you knew comics, you'd know them, but like they were not like Spider-Man or Batman or the X-Men or something like that. They were like B tier, maybe a little lower in Thor's case if you ask me, but
It's not something the general public would know unless they specifically looked into it before the MCU. Like I knew Thor was a thing, but I knew absolutely nothing about him apart from obviously Thor, God of Thunder. That was it.
So then the movie did pretty well then.
Oh, the video game, Thor: God of Thunder. That's a good game. It's not.
Doesn't sound like a good game.
No, it's not.
I wouldn't know. I was just stating his title.
He is a God of Thunder.
anyway, when it comes to me and my history with Thor, I'm pretty sure I didn't watch it in the cinema, or if I did, it left such little impression on me that I forgot it, that I ever went to the cinema for it. But I did own the DVD for it, and I did watch it a couple of times. And when I was younger, can't say I really liked this film much. Thor for me gets good later on. Well, back then we'll talk about my thoughts on the film now after our current viewing, but back then I was not a super fan of Thor.
Yeah, I was kind of the same. Pretty much, I'm in the same camp as Chris. Apart from, I definitely didn't buy the DVD for it. If I did see it in cinema, I don't remember seeing it in cinema, but I definitely saw it near its release time. But like Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk, I just kind of forgot about it.
Common opinion, yeah. You know mine. I never saw it until today, so...
Well, that's a good point to start on our quick thoughts then. What did we think of Thor after, well, for me, about 3-4 hours ago, viewing this film?
For me, about 2 hours ago.
For me, yesterday.
Once again, I was reasonably pleasantly surprised, because when I watched it, I was going in thinking, well, I forgot about it, so it can't be that good. And then I was watching, I was like, it's not great, but it's not bad either. I'm noticing a common theme with these first few MCU films is that it's just like, they're kind of forgettable, but they're just good enough.
I found the film like a lot more charming than I remember it being. Like Thor himself is very charming, and like
Yeah.
as much as I'm not a big fan of Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, they also were a lot more charming than I remember them being.
See, this is interesting. I said last week that I really like this film. Even thought it was great, like, because I own it on Blu-ray and everything.
I remember you being worried that your thoughts might change.
Yeah, what happened? I didn't like this as much as I remember at all. I still like it, but this is just not as good as I thought it was at all. Especially like the first half of it. I was like, what happened? It's the same film, but it's like I'm just not enjoying it. I think I'd seen it too many times.
You got older, Ben. That's what happened.
I'm definitely comparing it to like later Thor and like Ragnarok and
just as a bit of a segue, comparing it to later Thor, his blonde eyebrows and wig and weird makeup
oh my god,
really made me like. I was like, Jesus Christ, this looks bad.
He's so weird. His beard is weird. His eyebrows are weird. His hair is weird. I mean, I think his hair in this one is actually his own hair, because later on it's a wig, but he had long blonde hair for this, I think. And
well,
like,
it did not work for him. I thought it was a wig when I was looking at it. I was like, this looks bad.
I didn't mind any of it except for his eyebrows. The eyebrows were okay in some scenes, but there were some scenes where I saw him and those eyebrows, and I was like, I
didn't mind his look at all. I agree, he looks better later on, but I didn't mind his look at all. I mean, okay, he looks different.
I think his armor. I think mostly it looks really cool. Like his armor they've got that spot on, and like the color scheme between, like his color scheme, like red and silver, and then there's Loki with like the green and gold or whatever, and there's Odin in like gold and silver. I think they all look really cool.
You see, funnily enough, Loki looked weird to me. I'm pretty sure he's barely changed as well, but I was just looking at Loki, I was like, you got such a baby face, but I don't think you changed that much.
There's Loki with like his short hair as well.
Yeah,
so the whole time I was looking at Loki, I was just like, there's something not quite right, but I don't know what it is, because you don't look that different.
This is slight spoilers for later films, but I'm fairly sure this was his real hair as well, because in later films he gets some bad wigs.
He does, actually. In Ragnarok, his hair looks weird.
Yeah, he has garbage hair in that movie.
I didn't mind. I thought the costumes looked dope.
And not just like how Thor looked, but like his voice as well. Like Chris Hemsworth like hadn't got it yet. Like his voice sounds really weird.
I disagree with that. I'm not too familiar with what his voice is like in the later ones.
I'm pretty sure his voice is the same. It's more just literally how he speaks.
Yeah, I thought he had that kind of charming sort of. I
don't think it's so much his voice. I think it's the dialogue they gave him.
Yeah,
like, in later films, he talks more like a normal person, but in this one, it's very like Shakespearean in like construction.
Yeah, well, I mean,
especially
this was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who's like a Shakespeare guy. Like he's like the director at the Shakespeare Theatre or something like that, and it really shows. Like really shows.
I thought it was quite charming. But yeah, he does speak a certain way.
Everyone's like, forsooth, blah blah blah. I mean, that is how Thor talks in like the comics a lot, but I think it's better in like the later films that he talks more like an actual person, because it makes him seem more like an actual person. But
I thought it kind of played into the plot quite well, to be honest. Because it made him seem more like an outsider.
Yeah, it played into the fish out of water thing. I don't think we got your first initial thoughts, Joe, by the way, on the... Because this is your first viewing of Thor.
It is my first viewing. I always thought Thor was really... In my head, I don't know why, every time I go to watch it or think about Thor... Not that I think about Thor often, you know. Just
I feel like you wake up every morning, you'll open your eyes, look at the ceiling and think, but what about 2011's Thor?
Exactly.
He just has a poster plastered on the ceiling of Thor.
You know it. Yeah, I always think it's quite vanilla and boring, but I really enjoyed. Well, really enjoyed is a strong word. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it was quite good. In fact, I went into it, and a lot of times I was kind of maybe on the side of thinking ugh, and then before I knew it, I was like, okay, it's actually pretty decent. And I felt like that pretty much throughout the whole movie, I reckon.
I found like I spent the film just waiting for one scene in particular, and then that one scene happened, and it was awesome, and then I had the rest of the film to be like, okay, I'm done now.
Which scene?
The scene with the destroyer, where he...
Oh, okay.
I love that scene. Love it.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the scene with the destroyer is my least favourite action sequence.
Yeah.
And when he gets like his powers back, and it's just he wrecks it.
No, I'll give you the him getting his powers back, but the actual fight itself is just like kind of dull.
Yeah, it's definitely not up there. I preferred all the more human moments. When I was watching it, I preferred the more human moments. There's definitely some scenes I could have done without, but I kind of liked it. I think Hemsworth did a bang up job.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I think the one thing that is quite strong in this movie compared to the previous movies we've watched is its character moments. I think there's a lot of character progression in this movie. I think there's a lot going on with the different characters, and they all kind of start in one place and end in another place.
I'd say Loki and Thor, yes. I'm not so sure about the human characters. Because to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what their deal was throughout most of the movie.
I mean, are there really any... I mean, who else really is there?
There's Jane, who I didn't really understand what her deal was, to be honest, but...
Jane and her gang.
Stellan Skarsgård.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
To be honest, yeah, I didn't really count them. Pretty much most of the scenes with them are just... Yeah, I wasn't too fussed.
I think him and Jane are actually really good.
They have good chemistry.
Yeah.
But as far as like character arcs go, it's really on Thor and Loki to carry the movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're definitely the key players in this film.
I think they do well enough. The supporting cast doesn't really do a huge deal, but those two as key players, I think they do a top job.
What do you think about like Thor's like personality in this? Because in the beginning, it's like
he was such a brat at the beginning.
Like I really never noticed it this much until now. Like the guy is straight up like a bad guy at the beginning.
He was straight up a warmonger. I was listening to him. I was like, this is like us discussing politics and Civ.
Saw myself in him.
What the fuck, Thor?
Yeah, I'm like a guy calls him a princess, and apparently you can murder someone for that.
Justification to go to war.
Damn right. One thing I did note down, especially in the beginning sort of half of the movie, the storytelling in air quotes is it's very on the nose. Everything's very there's nothing left to the imagination. They say exactly what they mean, the characters. It's like, don't do this or you'll do this, and then he's like, I remember there's a bit where Thor goes to the frost giant thing or whatever, and he's like, you know what consequences your actions will have if you attack. You'll start a war. And he's like, yes, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I feel like in the first half of the film, it really does feel like bad Shakespeare for a lot of the time. It's like, hello, I am a character and I am on screen and I will tell you my motivations.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was the gatekeeper dude. He does it as well. Everyone does it. They like you say, they do that and they go, I am this person and this is who I am and I do this. It was a bit much.
Heimdall's really interesting in this. How he's not really a character. He's just kind of a thing that's there, and then later on he actually gets a character.
He gets developed.
Yeah. But in this he's just like this just watcher guy. Like you don't even know if has he got any emotions. Probably not.
You don't know much about him, but he's pretty cool.
He is awesome. I think Heimdall's great. Idris Elba's great.
Yeah.
And what they did with his voice as well, he just sounds really cool. Unless that's just his voice, because he sounds like that.
I mean, I think there's some sort of modulation going on there.
You seem so.
I actually wouldn't know. I don't think I've actually seen him in another film because I've just never seen any of his films.
Have you not seen Pacific Rim? We're cancelling the apocalypse.
He says it a bit cooler than that.
He does say it a little, I think about 100 times cooler than that. Maybe.
Conservatively.
Yeah.
There's one thing you should remember about me, gentlemen, is that I have not seen a surprising amount of films. I only first saw Lord of the Rings in the later half of secondary school, and up until that point everyone thought I was a heathen.
Still do, thinking it took you so long.
I mean, it took me so long because I remember my brother really loved it. I remember one time I walked into the living room, he had it on the TV, and I think it was during the scene between Gandalf and Sauron? Which one is it?
Saruman, probably.
Thank you. He'd gone there to help, and then Saruman betrayed him. And I remember I walked in and I went, well, this looks boring, and I walked back out. I never bothered looking at Lord of the Rings again until I actually decided to sit down and watch it.
It's painful to the soul, Dion.
When
So
Painful to the
the
soul.
way of pain.
when did Dion abandon reason for madness?
I didn't abandon reason. I hadn't seen the film, but I was just watching one old man toss another one on the floor. And I was like,
Sorry, I think your brother was watching a different thing. Oh,
you
dear.
know what I mean, you cunts.
Oh,
To be fair on Dion, out of context, that scene is just old men hitting
tossing
each other. Tossing each other
On
around.
the floor.
Tossing-
but anyway, that's for Lord of the Rings and the review. We're currently doing a different
Yeah.
fantasy
If we're going to do
setting.
Lord of the Rings,
Anyway, sorry, that got me. One thing I do want to ask you guys is, what did you think of the CG and effects in this movie in general? Because
oh boy.
it was, I thought it was rough for the most part.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Yeah.
I was because remember I remember really liking the bit where it gets to Asgard and Odin's talking about like the realm eternal Asgard, and then it gets to Asgard. I'm like, oh my god! What?
Actually, that's the one bit of CG I didn't mind. The rest of the CG,
Yeah.
however, yeah.
I think perhaps, obviously, if you're comparing it to the new stuff, it's going to look pretty terrible. I thought some of it was alright. Definitely the fighting and the fight scene early on with the frost trolls. Oh,
Yeah.
Frost
You see,
trolls.
that's one of
frost
my favorite
people.
action sequences. I
Frost
like,
giants.
I like the fight itself, but it really does look like PlayStation 3 graphics
Yep.
some of the
Yeah.
time.
yeah. I don't hold it against it because it is older, and it is I actually enjoyed that scene a lot more than I thought I would. But the CGI is a bit rough. Definitely the bit where that dude gets impaled on the ice spikes.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, that's
Just
that
looking
does
like
not
at the
look-
Asgardians, they never look like they're in the same environment as them. They look like they're on a green screen at all times. There's one bit where like Thor goes through like the ice giant's like big cave troll's mouth and then like lands. I'm like, oh, that's a rough green screen.
No, I agree. It was rough. It didn't really take it away because I kind of expected that. So I took it with a grain of salt. But there are definitely some rough moments. Some of it's quite all right, like the destroyer. Well, that was all right. That was fine.
Yeah.
You see,
Pretty
I liked the destroyer like destroying that like 2 blocks of town that was in the middle of the desert because a lot of that was practical and the destroyer itself looked pretty all right.
Yeah.
But the bit where he sucks it up in a tornado, I wasn't too fond of the look of that.
That town looks like a film set though. It doesn't
It
look like
really
a real
does.
place. It's just like they
Yeah.
built it in 2 minutes or something. Just like there's a cafe here. There's a couple of people over there.
That's kind of why I actually never watched Thor up until now, because I had seen like glimpses of it before, and it would just be Chris Hemsworth and some people walking through what looked like a shitty propped up village, as you say, and I was just kind of like, this doesn't inspire any sort of entertainment value for me. So I was like, I can't be arsed watching it because I imagine it's gonna be boring, and that might be where I get my whole Thor's a boring motherfucker from. I don't know why, but it might play into it because I did notice that.
Well, Krishna, before we carry on, do you want to tell people what the new-ish format is now, instead of the synopsis? Or we're just gonna get into it?
I was just going to go into it, but I can describe what we're intending to do at any rate. So, right, yes, these last couple of weeks when we'll be doing these movies, we've gone through a plot synopsis where we've gone scene by scene. Probably not the most entertaining of things to do, so we're going maybe a little bit non-linear, but it's probably going to go through in order, but we're going to try and discuss in a more general sense, like the key elements of the film, the main bits that we want to talk about, opposed to going through scene by scene and shot by shot.
Aye.
So that said, shall we start talking about some key scenes?
Let's talk about each scene, shot by shot.
Shall we go through it shot by shot?
Let's do it shot by shot, scene by scene, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Frame by frame.
We
Frame
can talk
by
about
frame.
the opening first, right? Just the whole sequence of these people in the desert, and that's your kind of first glimpse of Thor. I could have done without this bit, like.
Yeah, I was very confused as to why this was first.
Why do they drive into the storm? Why would you do that? Don't
Because science, they want 6 extra college credits, damn it.
you can monitor it from not driving into a terrible tornado that will probably kill you. Don't do it.
I mean, I'll give the driver some credit. She was smart enough to actually try and drive away from it once they got closer, but then for some reason Jane decided, no, I want you to go right into the fucking tornado.
Yeah, she just grabs the wheel. It's like, what are you doing?
I'm gonna get us all killed.
yes.
No,
that's
Science!
there's probably something I'm missing about these character relationships. So, like, Kat Dennings, she's a student to subscription because she wants college credits. What exactly is Natalie Portman and the other dude? Like, who are they and what are they doing?
They're both physicists.
So she's, like, not a student?
No, she's like
No.
Dr. Jane Foster. Like,
Oh, okay, right.
big dick person.
Because
Big dick person.
her and Kat
Big
Dennings
dick.
look, like, roughly on the same age level. And I was thinking in my head, Kat Dennings looks too old to be a student. But on the same side, why is Natalie Portman in charge of all this?
I'm actually not sure. I don't know how old Kat Dennings was in this, or Natalie Portman, but I mean, Natalie Portman is probably just aging really well because she's Natalie Portman. But I mean, Natalie Portman looks the same now as she did 10 years ago. So I don't know.
It's an insult to her, damn it.
But this entire movie, I was thinking I couldn't quite nail down what the dynamic was. Like, if they were meant to be students that were doing a project, because like Kat Dennings' character was definitely talking about like credits. So I guess she's like some sort of like intern or something working with them.
I've just googled.
Yeah.
I've just googled their ages. Kat Dennings is 33, and Keira Knightley is 35. Oh no, not Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley.
Shit, Natalie Portman.
I was gonna say Natalie
try
Portman's
again.
older than that.
I always mix them two up for some reason. Natalie
I
Portman.
actually do as well.
I do that all the time. Natalie Portman
Those names
she's 38. So it's plausible that she's a doctor and the other one's a student.
Well, the other one
5-year
would be the
difference,
right
yeah.
age for student, to be honest. So I guess I retract that statement. But Natalie Portman, far too young to be an important physicist.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But anyways, it's a fairly scene. It's not a good way to open the movie, I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the opening would have been ideal with what's currently on the stream now, with just Odin being like, "Hey, we're gods. You people used to worship us."
That town in the beginning is the same town from Captain America, apparently.
What an interesting bit of knowledge.
Is it?
I wouldn't know because I don't remember
Well,
Captain
see-
America yet.
Yeah, when we get to Captain America, I'll have something to say about that, and it is kind of cool world building, but that's more a Captain America thing than here what I want to say about that. But yeah.
For a second, I thought you were talking about where the frost giants were attacking. When Odin's talking about it at the beginning, I was like, "What?"
Yes, no, it is that place.
It is that place. Yeah, it's in Captain America.
The old
is?
Viking town.
Oh,
It pops up
shit.
in Captain America again, but we'll get to that next week, actually.
Yes.
We will.
okay. Well, moving on.
So yeah, the next key scene I guess we want to talk about is just Asgard's history as narrated by Odin, the All-Father.
That's right.
First example of that. Ooh, that CG and ooh, that action. Eek.
Yeah, some of the CG.
I'm looking at this PlayStation 3 graphics.
I don't think it looks that bad. A lot of the time.
It depends how many real people are in the shot at the same time as the effects, really. Like when I see Chris Hemsworth's face right next to a frost giant, I'm like, ooh, this
Yeah.
frost giant does not look right or good even.
No. But that's was with our modern day. I don't know what it was like back in the day, but yeah. There's not really too much more to say about the crawlers, really.
No.
I guess.
No, it's just an interesting enough opening. Just being like, "Hey, Norse mythology, it's real."
I feel like it does a good job of setting up like the weird fuse between science and magic sort of thing. I quite like it as like a universe building sort of thing.
Oh, I think it's very well done. Yeah. Like they tie it into Norse mythology, but at the same time, be like, this is actually science, kind of. But it is magic as well.
That said, when I think about some of the dates on like actual Norse mythology, I'm like, these don't really line up. Like, like Thor and Loki aren't born yet it's like 960 AD, and the Vikings are around for like another 100 years or so, in like a proper sense. And I'm like,
Yeah.
So like they've like Loki and Thor are like major figures in Norse mythology, but like they can't have really popped up as adults at any point during the time the Vikings were around, unless like Asgardians grow up really quickly and stay that. But then they don't, I don't think. Anyway.
It's true.
But I mean that's nitpicking, really. I feel like it's a good background for what this movie is to be, and also for future movies as well.
It's very good, and it ties in well. It sets up all the characters as well as the background. It sets up the tension between Loki and Thor from a young age and all sorts. That's well.
You can see Thor's not quite brattiness in the beginning, but just his happy warmongering from very early on.
Yeah, it shows you actually kind of what the kind of characters' personalities are.
I mean, also at the same time, though, Thor never matured. From being like an 8-year-old child to being a fully grown adult, never changed his stance on that.
Yeah, he didn't change his stance on that, and by the time we get to like this film, he's like 1,000 years old. So he's been a douchebag for 1,000 years. Imagine living with that for 1,000 years.
No wonder Loki's a cock.
How has he not already destroyed everything?
It's a good point, actually.
I
It's
mean,
1,000 years to wage war.
I mean, yeah. Also, they also say like, oh, it's been peace ever since the Frost Giant War. It's been nothing but peace for Asgard and all that. Except when Lady Sif, the Warriors 3, and Thor are all talking like, oh, think of all the battles we fought together and all this. I'm like, who have you been fighting? What have you been doing for the last 1,000 years?
They've just been fighting. They've been fighting rebel uprisings because Odin's a prick.
Spoilers.
I have massive problems with Odin. Although that's
Really?
probably because of later films. Like,
I was gonna say, I was quite okay with Odin in this film.
yeah, I think I'm going off it by like what I know now about him in like Ragnarok and stuff, and it's just like you're just a mess of lies and deceit.
That's definitely Ragnarok talking.
Yeah, and yeah.
Going for someone who doesn't know much about the films following this, I liked Odin. Thought he was a good character.
Good. I was just completely honest. I thought I was like, no, Thor, don't go to war. Don't be stupid.
He has some great line deliveries in there. Like at one point where like Thor's being a dick and he's like, "When I'm good, but you're not king."
Yeah, that was sick. That.
There's one part where he lands and like Thor's like saying something. It's like silence or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love your line delivery.
I love that bit so much. I love the bit where Loki it says father and he's just like, "Hey!"
Yeah.
Touched his hand out.
Puts him down immediately. He doesn't even say
Yeah.
anything.
The man has good delivery and damn good presence. When he needs to be authoritative, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, he goes from like wise old sage to badass motherfucker in a click, and it works.
You believe he could silence anyone he wanted to.
Yeah, 100%. But anyway, the opening sort of crawls down. It sets up the characters really well. You kind of understand Loki's, where his position is, what Thor's position is, what in society and all that goodness, and the motivations. I think the opening is strong. Beyond the desert scene, the opening is strong.
Also, like setting up Thor as just like generally an unlikable dick kind of makes his redemption later on and his weird goofiness all the more satisfying when we get there.
100%. That's why I believe this movie is a really strong character arc from Anna Loki. And it gives you some credence to Loki's sort of motivations in a way.
It does,
It
yeah.
has been 1,000 years.
1,000 years of
like,
being
fuck.
second fiddle to this asshole.
I feel so sorry for him. I'm on Loki's side for like half his film.
I was about to say that as well. Yeah, for half this film, I was just like, yeah, I mean, Loki's right. Like, obviously, up until the point where his betrayal's been revealed. For the most part, it's like even up to the point where he was like crowned regent for the time being because his father was ill. I was just like, no, I mean, he's right. When Thor's friends go to him and be like, you need to bring Thor back, and Loki's like, no. It's like, yeah, I would make that choice.
I mean, I also liked his reasoning in that scene where he's like, my first command cannot be to undo the last All-Father's command. I'm like,
Exactly.
You've got a silver tongue, good sir. You are a trickster.
Yeah, a lot of what he says and how he goes about things is believable for a decent period of time. I feel gets a bit iffy towards the end, but what he does for the majority of the movie is bang on.
Yeah,
and
this might be one of my favourite films with Loki in that I feel like this is the closest he comes to success in any of the Marvel films.
Also, up to this point as well, he's by far I think he's probably my favourite villain. And as much as I like Tony Stark building shit with a box of scraps, like this, he has complex motivations and like believable ones, and you like him for the most part.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
100% agree. Yeah.
So like Thor definitely has the strongest villain, if you ask me.
I don't know. I think he
So
needs
far.
some electric whips. That'd be so
yeah.
As long as he gets the cycles right,
Yeah,
he'll be deadly.
He needs his bird.
Shall we throw in another key scene then?
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, we've kind of already done the childhood one, so if we're going by the list on document, the Frost Giant fight.
Yeah.
So the stuff
Yeah,
leading up
100%.
to that as well, with it's on screen now, the Frost Giants infiltrate, try to... Okay, quick question. Is that blue thing the Tesseract?
No.
No, because
we'll get to where the Tesseract is.
I was just
next week.
confused throughout the whole film because I was looking at that thing and I was like, is that the Tesseract? It just looks funny.
No, it's not the Tesseract. It's something else.
this room,
Okay.
by the way, is just full of things that Odin has taken from other people, so they can't rise up against him.
Yes.
The guy's power crazy.
Following movie, Ben. Following movie.
Also full of references that have to be undone at some point.
Honestly,
I think one of them, the one that always stands out to me, I think there's an Infinity Gauntlet in there.
Yes.
And that ain't a thing yet. That won't be a thing for a while. But anyway, if we want to talk about everything that happens, is it Jotunheim he goes to? Is that where the Frost Giants live in this one?
Yeah.
Because again, it plays a little fast and loose with Norse lore. Jotunheim isn't Frost Giants per se, but in this version, it's Frost Giants. I like this scene in general. I like Laufey as well, even though he's kind of incompetent at everything he does.
Laufey's kind of a reasonable bloke, isn't he?
Is Laufey the Frost Giant king?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we get there, and he's
fucking
like,
useless.
he's like, you've broken here, you've trespassed, but you know what? You can leave if you want to. I don't think I would have been that reasonable, but
I was going to say, I think he was perfectly reasonable considering his circumstances as well. It's like, you've broken in here, I'm willing to let you leave because I've already had war with your people. I don't want that again, but if you cause more trouble, we're going to have a problem. He causes more trouble, and then afterwards he's like, okay, fuck the Asgardians.
Yeah, it is very on the nose again. It's like, don't do this or this will happen and this is this, but it's a very cool scene. I never understood though why it was necessary why Odin necessarily didn't want a war, because they kind of just kick shit out of them. Thor.
This is something I feel like comes back to. It comes back in Odin's character in later Thor films, but he changed at some point. He doesn't want to fight anymore. He's more of a pacifist.
yeah.
I just kind of assumed at this point in time he'd seen enough war, because as most people who live through war will tell you, it's a horrible thing, so
Yeah.
I can easily imagine not wanting war. It's like, yes, they could easily win, but it's not really nice for either side.
Yeah, I get that Odin's trying to be better than what he used to be, but it's just full of lies.
But you just don't like him, do you, Ben?
That's
just
Ragnarok,
lies.
Ben. That's Ragnarok, Ben. Stop it.
Lying to his sons.
We're not there yet.
Lying to his people.
Well, you got one thing from this film. He did lie to one of his sons.
He did.
He did.
He did.
For all the good reasons.
Were they good reasons?
No.
No. I fully expected to hate this scene, to be honest, the fight scene. And the first few seconds I did, because Thor always kind of falls into that Marvel sort of fight scene where lots of things happen but nothing really happens. But then in this, Thor actually came across the powerful god he is, which I don't see as much, I feel, in the later movies. But here he just wrecks shit completely, and I'm like, okay, Thor's
It also strongly demonstrates character flaws with Thor. When his friends are getting injured and they're losing and they're going to die, and he's like, whatever, I'm going to beat these people to a pulp. I don't really care, to be perfectly honest.
It does.
Hell, even this beginning bit where literally everyone but Thor is like, Thor, we should really go. We're surrounded. This is a terrible idea. Let's just go now. And Thor's like, nah, I want to fight.
He doesn't take into consideration anyone around him, which is something that quite drastically changes by the end of the movie.
I was going
That
to say,
said, oh sorry.
I was just going to say it's literally the polar opposite at the end, because at the end he doesn't care to fight because he can't fight, and his whole thing is to get everyone out. He's like, I can stay and get these people out of here. So it really works well, especially when it ties in at the end.
That's it. I don't know why Thor bums around with these people, by the way. They're quite clearly not on the same power. What are they actually contributing to this fight for him?
I don't know.
They're just kind of there.
Thor could have just gone there by himself and done everything. and easily
everyone.
easily destroyed. Like, he at one point he decimates an entire area. He could have just gone there and done that and
I
left.
was going to say, his finishing move in that fight was absolutely insane. I don't think we see something quite that destructive again.
No, which I liked it in a way, because the whole building up to this, even the short space of time, you know, he's like, this is the god of thunder, and he's got the Mjolnir hammer, and even Odin was like, there's no weapon that could equal it. So at this point, he's bigged up to be, you know, ridiculously powerful.
And they do show that it's basically a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, they show it, which I was very surprised by, because when I see these in really powerful characters in later Marvel movies, you never get to see it, because it's a weird paradox. It's like, you can't show it because then everything's pointless. And then I think it handles that really well, because then he isn't able to use this godly power we've seen him be able to use.
I mean, he does in Infinity War.
No, I mean in this movie particularly, because that's what we're talking about, Mr. Rabbit.
Sorry.
But this movie, they do it because they strip it. In a way, it's a cheap thing, but in a way, it works really well, because you know he's ungodly powerful, and it doesn't feel weird that he is. And it's not like, oh, why does he just go kill everyone because he can't anymore? But you know he's powerful, and it sets it up really well.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, it's one of the strengths of the film is that it does set everything up quite nicely, character arc-wise, and also, I know, power level-wise. It sets a lot of stuff up nicely.
Yeah, you believe he's a bad man in all the ways.
Yeah, do we have anything more to... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, when I saw this in cinema, when he throws his hammer the first time and it comes back to him, it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I don't know, why is that so cool? It's just really cool, seeing his hammer go back to him. I can't explain...
I like it when it follows the hammer as well.
Oh, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it really does play into the hammer really well, actually, as a weapon.
And then he's like spinning it, and it's like kicking up shit
that's
everywhere.
probably one of my favourite moves.
I love that move so much. Yeah. And then when he, uses it to fly. It's great.
Actually, I mean, technically, it's part of the next scene, but I kind of want to ask it now. So up until this point, I assume the condition of whoever may be worthy can wield it was not attached to Mjolnir.
Not at this point.
Yeah, I just want to be sure, because obviously we see him do it afterwards, but I'm like, I'd assumed, because I'd forgotten about this film, that it had always been on it. But then we get that bit once he's banished. I was like, oh, I thought that was always just the case.
Yeah, I'm not
I was
sure.
assuming that too.
I'm not sure if at Loki at this point could just pick it up if he wanted to, but I'm not sure how it works.
No, it's just a random question I had. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
There we go. There's the weapon of mass destruction bit as well. Jesus Christ!
Fucking hell.
It destroys everything.
Yeah, like, you believe he's a god. Which I
Followed
never
by
really
some
believed.
delightful green screen there. But
Wonderful CG.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that.
Anyway, are we done with the Frost Giant fight then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say we're about done. We can get to banishment now, with Odin coming in being silence. Just,
This was an incredible scene. This is one of my favourite scenes in the movie, I think.
Well, when he's stripping Thor of his shit.
Yeah. It's really good for everyone. It shows that Odin's still a bit of a bad man. Silence! It shows where Thor's at, that he's this arrogant douche, and he's just getting stripped of everything that he cared about. It even shows kind of Loki in a bit, because he steps forward just at the moment Thor gets stripped, and it shows that he's like, oh, he's a bit of a conniver, and Odin's like, shush now.
Hi.
Yeah, so it's a subtle little moment for him as well. I think it's such a powerful scene. I fucking loved it, and I was surprised by it. I was like, oh, okay, we're in for a movie now.
I'm surprised by your evangelism of Thor here.
I know, me too. I fully thought I was going to come into this movie and just be like, it's kind of ugh. Because that was my opinion of Thor for a long time, and this surprised me. It's not like an incredible movie, but it's a lot better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And it's got some powerful moments.
Funnily enough, when you go in with low expectations, it can accidentally blow you away, even if it's not that great.
Yeah, very, very true. I just didn't expect the characters to be, or some of the key characters. Like, a lot of it doesn't apply to the whole thing, but a lot of the sort of key characters were better than I thought. Thor himself was better than I thought he would be.
Thor and Loki.
Yeah. I didn't expect
And
the
I
level
guess
of depth here.
Odin as well.
Yeah, Odin's just cool, isn't he? Isn't he, Ben? Don't you love Odin?
He's a massive hypocrite, but he's cool.
He's not yet.
No, he is. I mean, even in the context of this film, it's like, I don't
think
know.
you see
He's
that
still
too
he's a
much.
liar and a he was a warmonger. Like they go on about that, but I get
Men
that.
can change, Benny.
But I get that he's trying to
Well,
teach
yeah,
Thor the
what did you
lesson that
get?
he learned, and I get that he just kind of loses patience with him. So I do understand that he's trying to make Thor better than he was.
Would you not lose patience after 1,000 years of him acting?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm surprised he's lasted this long.
Yeah.
So I do understand it. Yeah, I just Odin's. I get that Odin's a good guy now. He's trying to be better, but there's just something not right. Even in this film. But anyway, I think he's still awesome. Like his power and everything, it shows like he is absolutely like supreme. And
Also, another credit to the actor for Odin as well, because we've complimented him on his like authority, but he needs to have it. But this part where he's stripping Thor of his power and is about to banish him, you can like hear the emotion in his voice. Like he's not happy about this. He's like kind of heartbroken as well. Just God damn it, he's a good actor.
he's a great actor. He's Anthony Hopkins.
He did really well in that scene.
Yeah, he's so good.
It's incredible. It's very impactful.
And like he's like a prestige Oscar-winning actor that he's taking it this seriously and this good in Thor is a testament to him.
Yeah.
100%.
Because especially at this point in the superhero films, it's like they're not the superhero films of today.
It could have been seen as very
this is-
goofy, couldn't it?
Yeah, this is still back when.
No.
I mean,
this is still back when, because obviously they had Iron Man and stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, so they can be quite mega successful. But this is still very much at the stage of where people kind of just like, oh, superhero films, they're goofy. We don't have to take them too seriously.
Yeah. Especially when you've got the sort of horned helmets that Loki and that has.
yeah.
Could have easily
Going with
been.
all the Norse mythology and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been seen as quite goofy, but it worked well, and he kills him.
I wonder how Loki wears that thing. It looks very top heavy.
It does.
Frost giants have like great neck strength.
Aye, that's it.
They're famed for their thick necks.
Famed for their brawny necks. Shall we move on to another key scene type thing?
Yeah.
I'm going to slightly change the order that we've got in this document, because I want to talk about Thor being a fish out of water, just in general. So this one's going to be wide ranging for like the middle 45 minutes of the film, basically.
I was gonna say that's all over the place, so I'm not even gonna try and find that in the stream until we talk about it.
It's a wide ranging one, but not one that's really represented in our key scenes that we've got written down, because that is what is my favourite thing about this film. From like my personal enjoyment of takeaway from the film is Thor just being a doofus, getting knocked over by cars, but it's like genuine. Like even though he's a dick, he's got like a genuineness to it at the same time. Where I'm like, you're just likable. You're just plain likable as doofus Thor.
The classic example that pops to mind is when they go to the cafe and he goes, this is good. Another!
But like it's not even like it becomes like a big argument. He's like, you just don't do that. Do not do that. It's like, okay then, I've learned.
He's like, sorry, I thought that was I thought it was a compliment. And what was funny
It's a compliment where I'm from.
James, one of my friends did that on a night out. He threw a glass on the floor and he was dressed as Thor. It was a fancy dress thing. Said,
I was going to say, your friend doesn't have the benefit of being an Asgardian from a different planet, okay?
Yeah, it was a plastic cup, but he threw it at the floor. That was good. I'll have another, and I finally get it.
There it is.
Got the reference after about 10 years.
I love the scene where he goes to the pet shop and he's like, I need a horse, and they're
They
like,
don't sell horses.
we don't have a horse. And he's like, just a cat or a dog, something big enough to ride. It's just great.
Yeah.
I enjoy him even when it's a bit more serious and he's being like when he's like rioting against the doctors and whatnot who are trying to treat him, and I don't know, there's something about Chris Hemsworth getting stabbed in the buttocks with sedatives and then going down that really
You cannot
elicited a
stop
chuckle
the
from me.
mighty Thor.
I love how he's like, how dare you attack the son of Odin? How dare you do this? And then they just pin him to the floor. I think it's brilliant.
It's a great transition as well, because he goes from like this kind of arrogant, I am the son of Odin and all this stuff. You can't do this to me. And then just to this good-hearted sort of shit, wonderlust about him. It's really weird, but really good.
I mean, I'll lump it in with just Thor being in America, but like when he goes like to take on Shield, and even though he's doofusy and like funny with it, like I love the way he just dismantles like the entire Shield staff.
Yep.
Because even when he's immortal, he's apparently amazingly good at combat. I guess that's what you get when you have 1,000 years of beating people to a pulp.
Yeah.
1,000 years of combat experience will definitely do something for you.
It makes them
1,000
like
years of peaceful training.
minimum wage mall cops, as Coulson puts it, which I think is a really good line.
I did laugh during the infiltration scene, though, but this is only because I've been playing Metal Gear again. When he knocked out those first two guys, I was like, you need to hide the bodies, otherwise. And then as soon as I said that, someone found the body. It's like, yep, that's why you do it. They put the whole base on the lid.
It was a pretty interesting. It was a weird scene though. That whole him going to get his hammer. It was a bit. It was strangely pointless because can't he just summon his hammer if he was worthy? Like you'd try that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Maybe he did try and then decided to go. I don't know, but
So,
yeah,
fuck it, I'll give it a go. The payoff was good when he tries to pick it up. That was very impactful and a very cool scene. It was weird building up to it and getting there was unusual, but the payoff for it, I'd forgive it for the payoff.
It's really good. Like the guy, his acting is really good in that scene. He looks genuinely like destroyed.
Yeah, you genuinely believe that he's broken by it.
And it's really nicely shot. I know, like going on talk about cinematography, but I don't know. When I was watching, I was like, this looks really nice. When the rain's like coming down and everything. And
yeah, that's a nice shot. What I'll say about cinematography for this film in general is that they just love the canted angle, and it drives me insane.
yeah,
Every other shot, or sometimes it's just like long periods of film, everything is at a slanted angle, and it drives me goddamn insane.
I hadn't actually noticed, but just
There it is, right
oh,
now.
it's just now. God damn it!
It is as well.
It's still going.
Oh god, it is.
It's like
I never
Inception.
noticed.
The whole corridor is just twisting on itself.
It's still
Oh
doing
god,
it.
look at
It
this!
You've
Oh
ruined
my
the
God,
movie.
come back to the
You've
hole.
ruined the movie for me, Chris.
Like, it genuinely drives me insane how many
I
canted...
had not
like,
noticed.
whether they're sat in a car, walking around, action scene, just walking... Like, it's all canted angles for the most part.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed, but just in the few scenes that were shown there.
I won't be able to rewatch it without noticing now. Damn it, Chris.
That's it. This film is dead to me. I can't watch it anymore.
Let's put it at the bottom and move on.
Well, yeah, oh, sorry.
So I was just going to say two more things about the infiltration scene. I'll quickly say is one, Hail Hydra, and two, Hawkeye was kind of pointless.
Oh my god, Hawkeye.
This falls into one of my problems with Iron Man 2, and it's such a minor thing here. It's like, the world build, they've not nailed it yet. Hawkeye was literally just there so that when you see him in the Avengers, like, oh,
That's
it's
him.
Hawkeye. That's him.
Yeah,
Like,
so you know it's part of a bigger universe.
There was no point to Hawkeye being here.
He shouldn't have reached for a gun first. Like, don't do that. Shouldn't have done that. Go for
Nah.
the bow every time. You're the bow man.
I couldn't even remember, to be honest.
I don't like
It
the
was,
bow.
it was literally all for our benefit. It wasn't for like the character's benefit or anything. It was like, look, it's Hawkeye. If you know who Hawkeye is, and if you don't, get ready to see him later.
Hey.
Also, one last thing, because it just came up on screen. What did we think of the Stan Lee cameo?
Yeah. You know what? I don't know why, but I think it might have just the way he looked when he put his
I
head
quite
in the
liked it.
truck. Yeah, I quite liked it.
I like it.
I
So
thought it was about on the same level as the Iron Man 2 cameo of like, oh look, it's Stanley's face, and then it's gone. Instantly.
Nah,
He had so
Iron
much
Man 2
joy
was
in his voice.
much briefer. It was much briefer.
I
I really
like-
like this one. I don't know.
I
why.
like the truck just coming apart. I guess that's not part of his cameo, but he is in the truck, and I just find it really funny when the truck just splits in half.
Yeah.
I just like how kind of like happy he is afterwards. Like, did I do it?
Did it work?
Yeah, that's what I love about it. What was he in Iron Man? The original Iron Man again?
He was
Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner.
played. Yeah, that's it.
Ah, right. Okay. I know where I put this one then.
I mean, I guess we'll do it now, but do we want to rank the Stanley cameo against all the others then?
Let's do it.
Probably say it's my favorite one.
Same. Top for me.
Really? It was so brief.
Just it was the joy, and he like looks out the window and he's like, "Did we get it?"
Yeah.
Iron Man,
And I was like,
Iron
you're
Man,
adorable.
It made
Iron
me
Man
laugh.
1, he gets tapped on the shoulder and turns around. Iron Man 2, he literally he's flashed on the screen for like half a second and then he's gone. And in Hulk, he drinks a soda and then dies.
Yeah, I was going to say that the bar isn't high at this point, is it?
At this point, no. But I, personally speaking, I like the Hulk one better. But
Really?
I mean, I get. What was our order again? Because I've already bloody forgotten. Because I'm stupid.
At this moment, from top to bottom, it was Iron Man 1, Hulk, Iron Man 2. So in the order we watched it.
I'd firmly put it below Iron Man. Just a bit, maybe a bit above Iron Man 2. You guys might have sold me a bit, but
Well above Iron Man 2 for me. I'd say above Hulk as well. To be honest, I put it at top, so...
Same.
I actually, you've convinced me. I think it's the top one as well.
well, there you go. Let's see. It's going on the top of the Stan Lee cameos.
You've been
I've
firmly
actually got a
up.
note of this down now.
Yeah, I'm noting it down. I've got them. I've got them down. I might make a graphic for this. I might not. I probably won't because I'll forget. But
Put on this graphic once we finish the MCU.
it's noted down, so I'll remember in the future our order. As it stands at the moment, number 1, Thor. Number 2, Iron Man 1. Number 3, Hulk. And at the bottom, Iron Man 2 on the Stan Lee cameos.
All about that Thor.
That said, I think we've talked enough about Fish Out of Water. What I want to talk about next in a key, not really scene, but like key moments throughout the film, is what do you guys think of Thor and Jane? Well, Thor and his human companions in general, because there's that great like bar scene with him and the old man who I've forgotten the name of.
Stellan Skarsgård. Dr. Selvig.
Dr. Selv. Yeah, no, I know that. He's around for a while.
Oh, you,
Anyway.
you knew that.
Really good.
Wow, that was me more scolding myself. But what do you guys think of Thor and his human bros?
I
Some of the
really
best
like
bits.
him and Jane.
I feel like they had mad chemistry, to be honest, in this movie specifically.
Yeah, I thought his human interactions and just everything after he kind of lost that bit where, you know, he couldn't pick up his hammer. His human scenes I thought were really good. I thought he'd really bought into it and he was like, you know what, I'm fucked and I'm just learning to be a good guy sort of thing. I thought it worked really well for me.
Another scene that made me laugh, by the way, is when he's making eggs for everyone, and they're just like, "Thank you." And he's like, "You're very welcome."
You're very welcome.
You're very welcome.
You didn't make
I like-
those eggs. Natalie Portman made those eggs.
Yeah, he deserved them.
You're just serving them.
Good old doofus Thor. But yeah, I mean, like, the two things that really stand out for me with Thor and human character relations is him and Jane on the roof and him and Selvig in the bar. And I really liked both of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they're really good. The way they're like Thor is explaining the 9 realms, and then like you can see like just chemistry between them. I think it works really well. And he's like
It's also a
drawing the
good bit of
tree.
background.
It's not. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
There we go.
And
The bar scene's funny as well.
yeah, the bar scene is funny. Foo Fighters as well. That was
Yeah, I was going to say, yes, but the Foo Fighters in the background. Why not?
It's actually the credits, the song in the credits as well. Which
That was it.
I wouldn't know. I skipped over them
This
to
is
get to the
another
end
one where I
credits.
turned it off before the end credits, actually.
yeah.
Stupidly.
I think I turned it off before I saw any after credit scene as well. Now that I think about it, and that's something I really should have been paying
Well,
attention
your boy Benny did.
I was actually surprised by the end credit scene because I did not remember it the slightest. But I saw, I was like, oh shit.
We can
Okay then.
get to it when we get to it.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I think we've covered Thor and his human interactions quite well. I mean, because like, the human interactions really are what frame his change in the movie from asshole to not
I mean,
an asshole.
It's the majority of the film from this point.
I like Dr. Selvig's just kind of like disbelief. He's like, he's just not believing what he's seeing. He's like, this is ridiculous. Like this is not real. These stories were made up and read to me as children. And this guy he can't be Thor. It's great.
Understandably as well.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say, that's the logical stance to take when you
Yeah.
find a crazy man in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it when he's flipping through the book in the library. He's like, this is ridiculous. And he's right. It is ridiculous.
My favourite Selvig scene though is when he comes to pick Thor up from Shield, and
Oh,
he's like,
yeah.
just like, it's my good friend.
Oh,
How did he get through all of
confused by
them?
the scene.
Steroids. He took steroids.
I
He's
was
a
very
fitness guy.
confused by the scene. I was just like, because obviously the shield guys are like running the background on Thor and stuff, and instantly know it's just like the ID's fake and stuff. Like, why did they let him go?
It's Coulson. He was being smart about it. I mean, I don't know if it was smart really. Like Thor could have been like a mass murderer for all.
Seriously, considering how he just fucked up so many of Shield's agents right now, I was just like, I would not let Thor go. I'd be keeping him there.
I think the idea is that they were going to follow him back to whoever had employed him, like because they knew Selvig was lying. So they're like, okay, there's obviously something fishy going on here. Let him go, and then we'll follow him, and we'll figure out who his boss is.
That's fair, I guess.
The problem for them is that Thor doesn't have a boss, and instead he went and got drunk.
Got drunk and served some scrambled eggs.
Some delicious scrambled eggs.
Next up in what I'd like to mention about the movie, and it's also next on our list, I guess, is Loki's origin. And to be honest, I'll throw in that Loki's interaction with Odin in general. Loki being manipulating in the background, his interaction with Odin, his origin, all that sort of stuff. Because outside of Thor, he's like the other main pillar of the film. And to be honest, I think this stuff works for the most part.
Yeah, it does. Like,
terribly.
You just feel
very
sorry.
Understandable.
You just feel sorry for Loki because he's just been lied to his whole life, and he's like, "Tell me, please."
You buy his motives. You buy everything that he's kind of going through. You understand it, and you kind of empathize with him in a way.
I do at this point. By the end, I'm a bit confused as to what his motives were, but up until this point, yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point in the movie, you get it. Because he isn't a massive dick at this point. Well, he isn't a dick at all, really, at this point.
No.
Well, he is.
Is he?
He's the.
What,
he's...
is it his origin reveal?
What?
No,
What's
it
he
is.
done so far? That's
Well, he's already ruined Thor's. He's already ruined his brother's big day.
Yeah, but we don't know that yet.
It's like, yeah.
I mean, this is a general description. I was trying to frame it as like talk about everything Loki. So.
Ah, okay, fair enough then.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. I mean, like, when it's revealed that he was behind the Frost Giants getting in, I was like, that's a bit... Okay, cool. Because I don't really understand why he'd helped the Frost Giants before he realised he was a Frost Giant himself, but I guess it was just him being mischievous.
Well, no, because he wanted to... Yeah, it was him being mischievous, and he wanted to ruin Thor's day, but he also wanted to stop him becoming king.
And also, if we're going by what he said at the end there, this was all like part of the plan so that eventually he could assassinate the leader of the Frost Giants and make his dad proud. So he basically wanted to do what Thor was going to do, but in a sneakier way.
I mean, it's one of the things, like, I get that, but, like, Loki should have revised his plan when he literally heard Odin say, I don't want you to kill Frost Trolls, I don't want to start a war, I don't want to kill all of them, and all of that, and he's like, I thought I'd get your love by starting a war and killing all the Frost Trolls. Like, he said quite literally the opposite.
Just don't do that.
That's where it kind of falls apart for me. He's like, I didn't even want to be king, I just wanted you to love me and think of me as your equal. And I was like, when he said that, I was kind of like, so you thought you'd do that by killing the Frost Trolls? And when Odin was like, no, we want peace, we don't want to kill anyone. He was like, I'll kill them for you. And he was like, wait, what? So when that whole kind of thing happened, that's when it started to fall apart for me.
He was in the ideal scenario once Thor had been banished and Odin fell ill. It's just like, guess I'm king.
I was going to say, at that point,
if he did nothing from there, he's just sorted.
This is something I had to look up while I was watching the film, because when Odin falls ill, he says, Odin's gone into the Odin sleep. And I was like, what? Is there an illness specific to Odin or something?
I thought he was in like a coma or something.
It turns out, in the comic books, Odin periodically goes into what's known as the Odin sleep to, like, recharge his powers, basically. So after he's done, like, a big feat or something, he'll go into the Odin sleep and, like, recharge like a battery.
See, I have a different explanation. It's Odin skipping responsibility. Soon as the going gets tough, Odin just drops out, and he's like, he's gone into the Odin sleep, like bullshit. When things get slightly difficult, he's like, I must go into the Odin sleep. Please, you deal with these rebels. You deal with the people are starving. Oh, I need to go into the Odin sleep. I must recharge my strength.
I must think and ponder the matter.
But it is. I think it is a bit poorly explained what it is, but I guess you can just buy it as he's just kind of ill.
Yeah, I just was like, oh, okay.
It was literally one line where Loki, like, I think it was when the Warriors 3 come to talk to him, and he's like, oh, he's in the Odin sleep. And I was like, what? Is the Odin? Is it specific? Is an Odin specific disease? Is this something that goes around like Asgardians? Oh, they've got the Odin sleep.
I mean, he's in the Odin sleep to recharge his Odin force, which is ridiculous name.
They hooked him up to the main network.
I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't just call Asgard Odin Land, because that's just like he likes putting his name in things.
I'm getting an impression you kind of potentially might not like Odin.
You know what? I do like Odin. I do like him, but the guy's got issues. I'm just saying, and he's ruined a lot of people's lives, and he's a murderer. And anyway,
Thor Ragnarok, draw it back.
I know,
but he's also really cool.
He is really cool.
Silence.
In this one, he's just trying to be a good father.
Yeah.
He's trying to be a good father and a top lad. Except when he's not. But anyway.
To be honest, at this point, I feel like we've covered like the main thematic and like plot elements that matter. Really, it's only action scenes that we haven't really talked about.
I'd agree.
I mean, even then we've touched on them.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So we talked about the story of Thor. I'm not like a huge fan of that fight. It was like fine. It was a fine way to cap it off. I mean, it was satisfying seeing Thor get his shit back after getting the shit beaten out of him.
His friends seemed rather useless. I've just like skipped to the bit where the four of them come down.
I love that scene where they just tap on the window and looking like absolute psychopaths.
Like Thor's a doofus. Everybody from Asgard is a doofus, apparently.
They reminded me in that one scene where they tapped on the glass, and you look over, and especially the dude with the beard. I don't know why they reminded me of some of the dwarves from The Hobbit. I don't. They all just
I could definitely see it with the guy with the beard.
Yeah, he reminded me of the fat one. I was just like,
not a good connotation to draw in my mind.
It's not. No, it's not. I did not like these four characters, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't like Sif and the Warriors 3. I don't like their name. I don't like how useless they are, and I don't think they actually serve much in the way of a plot purpose.
Their goofiness is probably the best part about them. Like when they're walking through the streets and everyone's just like, "What the fuck?" Even Shield's like, "Is there a Renaissance fair on?"
In fact, yeah, true. In fact, their only purpose really is to tell Thor that Loki is being a bit of a sausage. Yeah, and I will say that I hate it when movies and stuff do this, when there's kind of a big reveal and they skip it. It's like, Odin's not dead, and then we're going to see how he's going to react. Oh, we'll move on to the next.
Yeah.
Same with like Game of Thrones, where it was like, this thing happens, especially in season 8. I don't want to probably say because it might spoil it for everyone who maybe hasn't seen Game of Thrones, but you know,
it's a year old.
I know, but they'll say, oh, this person's actually this, and it's a big secret that's been there for like 5 seasons, and then it skips over it. I hate it when things do that, and that kind of happened here when he was like, Odin's not dead. I was like, okay, so are you going to tell him all this? And it just skips. It was a slight thing, but it annoyed me.
Fair.
I think Coulson's line is really good. The Tony Stark line. That's a solid reference.
That is a solid reference. I was going to bring that up as part of the Destroyer v Thor fight. I like that Shield is like there at the like initial zone, and that they get their asses handed to them. Although it's at this point in the MCU, it's resolved kind of later, but it's like, look, quite clearly you're having some like very strange issues here. You know how Iron Man exists?
Yes.
Give him
Maybe you should call him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Iron Man and War Machine might be very helpful in this very specific moment.
Unfortunately, that's kind of a problem with the MCU as a whole for the most part, because it's just like, whenever someone has a solo film and you know other heroes exist, it's like, why aren't you giving these guys a call? Especially after Avengers is a thing.
I feel like they deal with it pretty well, like, much later on.
Much later, yes.
As you, like, after, say, like, even Winter Soldier has a bit of this, like, Winter Soldier has a major, but, like, after Winter Soldier, I feel like they deal with it well, but it's at this point, it's this early MCU where the world isn't quite as established as it will be in 2020, where I'm like, hey, guys, call Iron Man. Just call him.
Yeah,
or put a line in like, oh, he's off dealing, like, say, put a line in that's talking about him dealing with Hammer or something at the moment.
Do what they did in, like, Far From Home, where it's just like, Doctor Strange, unavailable. You could just list through the characters. It's like, nope.
I mean,
But it would be annoying if they did that in every film.
this is like it's a bit of a problem with just comic book like universes in general. I think it's just one of these things you have to accept that sometimes like Batman's going to be stopping the Joker from destroying Gotham. He could just call Superman, but he doesn't because he's not available. I guess it's just one of these things that you've just got to accept.
Well, I feel in a comic book universe, like literally as in like the comic book books, like I feel like that's a suspense of disbelief thing I can like live with. But in the MCU, especially as the MCU as I know it now is so intricately built, that it's not really like a comic book universe in that sort of sense of the word.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think it's a super problem, to be perfectly honest. It's just a thing. It's a nitpick or like a amusing thing that I'll point out sometimes.
Yeah, very fair.
But
But the actual fight itself, then.
the fight scene with the Warriors 3 kind of reminds me of Power Rangers. I don't know why. I think
No,
I think
never
it's just
watched
because
it.
they're in like a dusty town and they're all wearing ridiculous costumes and they're all getting thrown around into like explosions. It's a bit Power Rangers-y.
It's a little bit, actually, isn't it?
You just need sparks to fly out of them every time someone hits them.
Yes. Oh look, sparks. There might have been some sparks there. We're watching the stream.
From an explosion? Nah.
Yeah, the thing with this, I was never too fussed about the actual fight because it was a bit shit. It was more the moments, the character moments, especially with Thor, where it connected in like that.
Sorry.
Get blown about and stuff. I was like, shit.
I was laughing because it just got to the bit where I don't know, the guy that looks like a dwarf is in the cafe. And the laser like
blasted.
goes into the cafe, and he comes.
Like,
this
he should be
flaming body
dead.
just comes flying out.
He should be
brilliant.
dead.
That's fantastic.
I'm
I
not
realise
entirely
they're
sure why
Asgardians, but still.
I'm not entirely sure why the Destroyer can't just destroy them. Like at the beginning of the movie, it takes frost trolls out in like milliseconds.
literally
We're gonna get in
incinerates
trouble
them.
if you keep calling them frost trolls.
So,
Frost
Joe
giants.
got into my head. Damn it. I was being pretty good about it throughout this as well. I was calling them frost giants, and then that moment I slipped up. Damn it!
I mean, they do look like trolls, but
Yeah, so the frost trolls.
Anyway, yeah, it could disintegrate a frost giant in like a femtosecond, but like the Warriors 3 just like don't get disintegrated.
Even when they probably should. Like when he shoots the building and the fat dwarf comes flying out.
Yeah, I thought he was dead. I was like, oh, they killed him off. And then I saw it, I was like, oh, okay.
I like
Yeah,
how
I was
we're calling him a dwarf. He's very tall.
He's taller than anyone
Yeah,
else
but he's got the build of a
in the
dwarf.
group.
He's got that fat dwarf beard. But yeah, well, that's what the MCU does it a lot, and it's one of my big sort of irks with a lot of the MCU action scenes. There's a lot happening, but nothing happens. It's not so much in this one, but it does happen here in this fight.
I mean, I'm sure we'll get more into that with like the Avengers. And I disagree with you, but
Yeah,
we'll get
I
there.
do too.
Wrong.
We'll get there. But do we have anything left to say about Destroyer versus Thor?
Yeah, I really like the actual like dialogue between him and he's talking to Loki, and you can see how much he's changed. He's like, "Take my life, spare them,
Spare these people."
I really like this scene, and then like he cuts to Loki like sitting in Asgard, and then
very
I
good
do like
contrast to
I do like the
Australia
bitch
scene.
slap it in Minister's Thor. The neck snapping bitch slap.
That does seem like a very low-key move. It's like, I could incinerate Thor, but let's give him a bitch slap.
Fish, please. I agree with Ben.
There it is.
Yeah,
Very good
I mean,
contrast to the frost giant scene.
to be
And
perfectly honest,
it wraps up his character arc.
the more we talk about Thor, the more you guys are selling me on it.
I
mean,
enjoyed it. Decent
Again,
fun.
I went in with quite low expectations, so I've been pleasantly surprised by rewatching it, because I had the impression before I watched it today that I was gonna think that it was really meh or really shite, but no, it's
Pretty
decent.
Yeah.
Well, shall we wrap up our main discussion about the plot and whatnot with the Loki fight then, and then we can move on to the last few bits.
But there's a good line. There's one good line in this scene where Jane's like, "Is this what you look like all the time?" And he's like, "More or less." And he's like, "It's a good look." And I'm like, "Yes, it is a good look. It is a good look." Anyway, that's all I had to say. It's just a good line.
His armor is cool.
It is pretty darn cool.
So the final fight.
Yeah, the final fight. Well, I mean, yeah, it's like the final sequence, I should say, because there's Loki doing his Loki shit,
betraying the Frost Giants.
I mean, I don't mind Loki's plan of like engineering an assassination plot that he can then thwart. It's just the part where he decides to become genocidal that really doesn't
literally
gel
wipe out
well.
the entire planet / species.
It really doesn't make sense. He does. The rest of it makes a decent amount of sense and works and gets him kind of, I suppose, what he wants. I don't understand the genocide at all.
No, that literally just came out of nowhere, especially after his brother got banished for doing something quite similar. It's just like, why are you doing this? Again, you were in the ideal situation once Thor was banished and your father fell ill, so therefore you were like the king regent. It's like, you could just stop there.
Yeah.
Just rule wisely until your father wakes up. You'd have his approval.
There's also one thing I don't understand, actually, is the gatekeeper thing, because there's one way in and out of Asgard, like, supposedly, right?
There's one established way, and then Loki's like, yeah, there's more.
Yeah. So, but he freezes Idris Elba. So there's two things. Either one, don't fire him, so he has to obey you and just be like, right, don't let Thor back and banish anyone who goes to Earth or whatever like that. Or, when he's frozen, just kill him. But he just leaves him there.
I mean, you have to assume that he thought he was dead when he was frozen. But
Shatter a motherfucker. Shatter that bitch into a million pieces.
Throw him into a wall. Break him.
But he
just toss him off the
leaves
bridge.
Or hit him with a big hammer. Wait.
Or a giant's... Yeah.
But he's not worthy. I did like that when they were fighting and Thor just put it on his chest and walked off.
I think that's the best bit of the whole fight, to be honest. Because I don't think the fight's very good. So. But I think that's a good bit.
The fight really is punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch.
Yeah,
for the most part.
There's not much to the fight.
Yeah, it was a pretty dull fight. The hammer thing was cool.
But I mean, I guess that suggests that the Odin's words of whoever wields the hammer were always there, because Thor just kind of knows that he can put it on his chest.
Yeah.
So like it can't be a new development. That must be something. That must be just the way the hammer works.
But then why would he have to cast it on it specifically? Because the way they shoot it, he was definitely like casting some sort of spell on it when he said it.
Yeah, he enchants it with the worthiness thing there, but I don't know if only Thor could pick it up in the first place. If it was just like his hammer.
It could just be a detail overlooked by the writers.
I mean,
most
maybe.
likely was.
A plot hole? How dare you?
The way they did it in this film here, it feels like Thor just kind of knew instantly, because when we were talking about him doing the infiltration scene and he got to the hammer, once he tried to pick up, he was distraught by it, but obviously I feel like it was then he was just like, right, okay, so I just can't wield this for some reason.
I don't know. No idea.
No idea. It's a minor point, really. Him putting it on Loki's chest, but it's just a thought.
It's just a cool moment in the fight.
It's a cool thing.
Yeah, I guess all that remains is that Loki gets cast off into space by his own
hubris.
Will. I guess he wants to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it as a moment. I like that they tried to save him because he is, family and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Despite being insane. But, actually, wait, the last thing I really want to say about Thor is that after all this, they've broken the Bifrost and whatnot, he can't go visit Jane, but he does get Heimdall to, watch her. He's I'll just put it under constant surveillance, be a bit of a creep about it, I guess.
Yeah, he's like, can you see her? He's like, oh, I can see her.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, dear.
Yeah, she's in the shower right now.
He's like, let me see. No. It's a little creepy.
Actually, that's a point. One of his powers, as established in Ragnarok, he can basically let people see what he sees.
Ooh, well, Thor's in for a good time.
Well, yeah, that's Thor. Unless we've got anything else to add.
After credit scene.
Oh, right, yes, you guys talk about that because I forgot what it is and I didn't watch it.
It's a bit of a weird one, to be honest.
It basically establishes why Dr. Selvig is where he is in Avengers.
It seems to imply that Selvig is possessed by Loki already. But
it's
a bit of a plot thing. I don't know, it's a bit out of order. And also,
to go
Loki...
Sorry, go on.
So I was going to say Loki being cast out into space gives him terrible teeth. I don't know if you noticed. His teeth look
Did it?
terrible. Yeah, they've done something to him to make him look. They made him look like more evil. So they've made him look like paler, and they've given him like yellow teeth, and it's a bit weird, to be honest.
Yellow teeth does make you evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
If you don't brush your teeth, you're a bastard.
But to specifically go over what the scene is, so to Chris and Joe know, yeah, it's Selvig meeting up with Nick Fury in the underground complex that we see at the beginning of Avengers, and Fury shows him the Tesseract, and at first Dr. Selvig just seems to be acting normally, and then we see in like a reflection on the wall that Loki is looking at the Tesseract as well, and then Loki goes, well, you might as well give it a look over then, and then Dr. Selvig says the exact same thing, so it's like, yeah, he seems to be under his control somehow.
I mean, spoilers for the Avengers, it's really not the case at all.
No, it's not. No. Like Loki doesn't even have that power by himself.
Yeah, but that's how it's shot in this after credits scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a bit of wobbly universe building for the Avengers here, to be honest.
Yeah.
God, that Tesseract looks like shit.
Does it? Looks okay. Looks like a blue cube to me.
Looks a bit unusual.
It definitely looks different to how it does later on.
Here it-
but-
Yeah.
Here
For
he
the
is.
most
Look at
part.
him. Look at him.
Oh, yeah.
Look at his teeth.
Oh yeah, he's got like very stereotypical British teeth there.
He looks- well,
Think of you. Yeah. It's alright, yeah.
There we go.
But anyway, that was our discussion on Thor. And to be honest, the next segment we'll be moving on to is ranking the film. You guys have sold me far more on Thor than I thought you could.
I mean, I've sold myself somehow. I was very expecting this to be very meh, and I actually quite enjoyed it.
Shall I go over the list real quick before we
yours.
try to rank it?
Go for it.
Ooh, 1 second, I've got to actually find it because I've forgotten it. Well, it's not a hard one. Right, number 1 so far is Iron Man. Number 2, Iron Man 2. And number 3, The Incredible Hulk. So, I guess the question is, where do you guys think in that list Thor belongs?
Who dares go first?
Well,
Second.
it's interesting because I watched it yesterday and I was like, oh god, maybe I enjoyed Iron Man 2 more than this. But now that we've talked about it again, I've actually decided that I really like it again. So I think it's number 2.
I would also put it in second place.
Yeah, when it comes to me, I think I enjoy the action and Tony Stark maybe a bit more in Iron Man 2, but as a film, this is way stronger than Iron Man 2, so I'd agree. It's above Iron Man 2.
Well, that was painless.
I think I was surprised that I actually liked Iron Man 2 as much as I did. I thought it was like worse than I remember it. It was a bit better than I remember it, but this Thor is better than that. Than that. What?
What? For
It's
me,
it's number 2.
I hadn't seen all of Iron Man 2 before until we watched it previously. I hadn't seen Thor before. Iron Man 2, there's a big gulf in class for me.
Thor
between the two.
before. We didn't get any puns in.
That was a low-key good joke, Ben.
There we go. There it
you
is. There we go. We need
There
another
it
one.
is.
Chris,
He
pun.
did it!
He did the thing.
I'm sorry.
Damn it.
For my final
I'm
four...
just loughing at your jokes.
Oh!
See, that was alright.
That's a generous alright there.
Yes, that was dubious. For me, there's a
Right.
big gulf in
Also-
class between the two. Between Iron Man 2 and Thor.
Yes, this is a better film, though I do enjoy Iron Man 2 a lot more, I think, than the average person does.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Iron Man 2. For me, Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk are reasonably close. Thor,
I feel like Iron Man 2 is like many steps ahead of the Incredible Hulk in my personal
I don't know.
opinion.
Same,
no.
same.
Yeah. Thor's a lot better, though, in my opinion. It's not the world's best movie. It's got some slow moments, but it does characters really well.
It's definitely going to sink as the MCU goes on, but for now, definitely deserves its second place, I feel.
Well, I feel like we're all in agreement. There's actually one segment I have that I just want. I'll read the list out in a minute, and then talk about next week's movie. But there's one thing I want to ask Ben, and this is a segment that we thought about that could be recurring. I want you to rank the hair in this movie. I want you to rank Chris Hemsworth's hair against, say, Loki's hair or Iron Man's hair or whoever's hair.
You want me to compare different
That's a
characters.
lot of hair.
Yes, I want a definitive list of Benjamin-approved hair.
I was thinking
He's
of
the man
more
with the
development
guts.
along the MCU, but I don't know, comparing Tony Stark's hair to Thor's hair, I've never done that before. It's interesting. I mean, I like Thor's hair a lot, but it gets a lot better later on. I think Tony
It's true,
Stark...
but given the events of the movies we've had so far, is Thor's hair better than the hairs we've had before?
Yes. It's more...
Well, there we go. I feel that's definitive.
I mean,
so far in the MCU, Thor has the best hair.
I feel dirty for saying it, because I don't think it's very good. But I think it's better than everybody else's. It's better than...
Worst eyebrows.
Ooh. I mean, if we're ranking eyebrows...
I mean, I guess eyebrows are hair. You can consider it part of the package.
Justin Hammer. Maybe. I don't know. Black Widow. She's got some good eyebrows on her. Probably.
Anyway, that's something I want you very specifically to be considering every week, Ben. I need you
will.
to rank hairs.
I will. I mean, I'm better at comparing the same character to the same character, but you know what? I'm up for the challenge.
There you go. That's a Ben-specific topic. Anyway, the list in a blunt ranking of the MCU so far stands as Iron Man in number 1 place, with Thor in second, Iron Man 2 after that, and in third last, we've got the Incredible Hulk. And that's been our discussion of Thor. Well, two of us consider it rather firm.
I've got one last thought, actually. Odin's hair is pretty good in this. It might be better than Thor's.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a shake-up. My God, I thought it couldn't be done. We've done it.
It's majestic. It's like a mane. It's wonderful. Yeah, that's the best hair.
There you go. Odin Allfather.
My God, my mind's been blown. The Allfather's hair is better than his son's.
At the moment, I mean, Thor's hair gets better.
Indeed, it does. Next week, you'll have Captain America's hair to add to the mix, and well, I don't really know anyone's opinion on Captain America's hair, but that's next week. Do you guys have any thoughts before we watch Captain America about what you might think next week?
I can't remember it in the slightest.
It's good.
Unsurprisingly.
Until Winter Soldier, I really didn't like Captain America, the character, so I am expecting not to like next week, but we'll see.
You see,
I remember liking it. I'm not sure why though.
I think in my head, I think the first half is fantastic, and then it drops off a bit, but we'll see.
Maybe Young Me was overly harsh. I don't know yet. We'll see.
In my head, there's a very specific point of the movie where it goes from very good to not good at all.
Yes.
But we'll see how it goes next week. But anyway, that has been a Blunt Ranking the MCU. Thank you for watching. If you did indeed make it 1 hour and 1.5 hours into a Blunt Lemons video, that would be surprising. But if you're here all the same, please leave a comment. Like, subscribe, dislike. Tell us how much we're wrong.
Yeah,
how would you have
rank
ranked
our
this week's
videos? Rank our rankings
How would you rank us as people?
as people.
How do you like the new format? Should be another question as well.
If indeed you've made it this far. So, yeah, do all the relevant. Follow us on Twitter. Follow. I don't know if the Twitch thing. Follow us on
It is
Twitch.
follow.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter as well, please, because my God, we need some more followers, please.
Just
Do
follow us
all
in
the-
general. Around
do
the
all the
house.
socials.
We need to use Twitter for more than just video promotion as well.
Do all the socials and all that sort of thing. And adios, amigos.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.